Hey, so today's guest has a record of 6-1. She's an atomweight fighting at 105 pounds. She has a fight coming up on Invicta 30 on July 21st. She'll be fighting against Jinh Yu Frey. And she is also last year's 2017 Nordic Female Fighter of the Year. I'd like to welcome to the show Minna Brutsku Grusander. Hey. This is Evolve WMMA. And I'm your host, Shelley Devine. Well, welcome, Minna.
Hi.
It looks like you have a beautiful day behind you.
Yes, it's beautiful sunny summer day over here in Finland.
Oh, it looks gorgeous. It's really hot here. I'm indoors in air conditioning because it's so hot. I figured I'll probably be pouring sweat if I was sitting outside.
Okay.
Are you just coming from the gym or?
Yeah, actually, well, I ended my training an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago. Yeah, 2 hours ago. So, yeah, been relaxing a bit after that.
That's right. It's the end of the day for you. You're
Yeah.
I'm back here. It's noontime and you're about 7 p.m.
Yes.
Cool. So you have a big fight coming up in July next month, or in 20 some odd days. And you must
3 weeks left.
You must be really excited because it's a title fight.
Yes, it is. I'm excited. 3 weeks left. I love the hard training before all the fights and all the camps for the fights. And I love this situation when I'm just going towards the fight that is coming up. But at the same time, I would really like to be there already. I'm feeling so anxious for getting to step inside the cage. So I really need to hold back a little bit for me to wait the 3 weeks. But yes, I'm excited.
You're a very active fighter. Last year, you had 4 fights last year. Some fighters don't even get that opportunity. I know your opponent, Jinh Yu Frey, for this upcoming fight. She's coming off of a loss, and she's kind of hasn't had too many fights in the last maybe 2 years. So do you think that will play a role in this fight coming up?
Actually, I don't think it plays that big of a role for our fight because she's experienced. She's extremely experienced and she has fought against the tough girls already.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's any difference if she's coming out from a loss or if she were the title holder already. I don't think there's any difference in that. I know she's experienced, so she will have her game on when the fight's about to start.
When it comes, cool. So I'd like my listeners to learn a little bit more of your background, because this is probably the first time they're maybe hearing about you and who you are. Yeah. So could you give us a little, like a little bio, a quick little, who you are, how you got into MMA, what you do outside of, your training. I know you're a mom, so maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm mom of 2. My son is 8 years old and my daughter is 5 years old. I actually started training more MMA after I given birth to my daughter. So it's been 5 years now, about 5 years that I've been training MMA. And I started. I had my first amateur fight back in 2014. And on 2015, I won the World Championships in Amateur MMA there in Las Vegas. Then I turned pro in October 2015. Now, as a pro fighter, I'm 6-1 right now with my record. And yes, now challenging for the Atomweight belt in Invicta.
It's so awesome. I know. I looked at your record. I was like, wow, you had an undefeated amateur career. and then now you have a 6-1, which is an excellent, you know, record, and you have one loss. And from what I understand, was it last year you had that loss against
in February, yes. Kondo in Pancrase, yeah. It was a strawweight fight, and now she's fighting at the strawweight division in UFC, so yeah.
Oh, wow. And would you like to have a rematch with her to, you know, at some point?
I don't know, somebody just asked me about that same thing, and I was like, well, that's pretty nice idea. Well, right now I'm not a strawweight fighter. I'm an atomweight fighter, so let's see. But it sounds pretty exciting, yes.
Yeah, because I had a chance to kind of take a look at that fight. It was a very seemed to be a pretty balanced fight between the two of you. And did you break your hand or something during that fight?
Yeah, I broke my hand on the first round, so.
Oh, because I was like, I was looking for it. I was like, where did it happen? Because I would have never known that you broke your hand.
Yeah, it was just a little fracture, but I felt it after the first round. I told my corner man that I think I just broke my hand, and yeah.
And you had to keep.
It wasn't that big a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what got you involved in mixed martial arts? How did that all occur? What sparked your interest, and how did you start training? Because I mean, it's only been 5 years?
Yeah, I wanted to stay fit. I wanted to get fit and stay fit. And actually, my husband told me that martial arts might do the trick. And I tried out MMA, and yes, I liked what it did to my body. And then I realized that I might be pretty good at this, so I wanted to start fighting as well.
Did you fall in love with the sport, or did you just...
Yeah, totally. I think I found my lifestyle within MMA. Yeah.
Did you ever expect that early on, that this would be something that you would do, you know, for a career?
Not really. Not really. I have pretty much like grown into this whole thing. When I started in MMA and when I had my first amateur bouts, I never even thought about it if I was going to take pro fights or not. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty much like grown. I found my lifestyle within MMA, and I've pretty much grown. I have grown into being a professional fighter.
So what prior to that, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do for work, or prior to having your children and getting married and all that? What were your aspirations prior to that?
Well, I worked at an insurance company. I have a bachelor degree in mathematics from the Helsinki University. Mm-hmm. So I think that the insurance company things would be for me. And yeah, I liked it that time. But now that I have my life in MMA, I really know how it feels like to have my heart in what I'm doing. So this is my lifestyle, and all the pieces are now like in the puzzle when I'm doing my MMA stuff.
Very cool. So you discovered that you were an athlete in mixed martial arts. You discovered you were an athlete and you wanted to pursue that. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just curious to always know, like, how women end up in something so, you know, raw and challenging. And I mean, like, your training sessions are, I'm sure, very challenging. And then you're getting into the cage, and, you know, it's, you know, you broke your hand, you know, you're still in there, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go through this because I love it. So it's just very interesting how you can have these same aspirations and these same feelings that even, I'd say, men do, and typically aren't what women are supposed to, you know, feel like or do. Did you get any flack for, like, changing, like, kind of careers within maybe your family, your immediate family or friends? Did you lose any friends along the way that said you're nuts or what? You know?
No, I was actually staying at home with my kids when I started in MMA. So I think that's a huge reason why we have such a great balance with my family life and my MMA training and fighting. And every now and then I'm thinking that I'm not really in the same position in life than all the others are. So if I'm looking at all the others who have 8 and 5-year-old children, they're not really, well, they are not athletes, most of them. So they have their daily job and the daily routines are totally different than mine. So I'm feeling kind of an odd one out, but this is how I want to live my life, so I love it.
That's cool. So do you feel like you miss out on anything, like as you're raising your children too? Like they're young still, right? You have 5
Yes, 8 and 5.
Yeah, 8 and 5. So they're still young. Do you feel like you miss out on any of those things, or you're treated differently with other moms, like when you're taking your kids to the school or anything like that? Are you treated in any way different?
Actually, I feel like I have so much more time now to be with my kids and train at the same time. I have, well, the younger one is with me when I'm having my morning trainings a couple times a week. She's there with me. So actually, I think I get to spend more time with them now that I'm an athlete than if I were having some regular career and normal daytime job. So I think it's nice. Well, I get some looks when I'm all bruised up when I'm going to school or other parents' meetings, but people usually know what I'm doing. So
yeah, they don't think that you're a battered mom.
No.
But they must have at first. They probably were like, "Whoa!" If coming in a little bit, they might have thought, "Oh, what's going on here?" Maybe a little bit. But how do you and your husband financially support yourselves? Because you mentioned that he's into it too. Do you own a gym, or does he do something else, or are you supplementing your income some other way? Although you did have 4 fights last year, so you must have done pretty well financially.
Well, my husband is a nurse as well, so he has his daytime job, and he's actually the one supporting the whole family, really mostly. So he's into MMA as well. He's an amateur fighter, and well, I'm taking all the time in our family to train for myself. So he's not getting that much training nowadays when I'm training at this level and having the title fight coming up. So when there's training at our gym, I'm going there, and he gets there when he gets his chances. But we also have, of course, our children's grandmothers. So my mom, my husband's mom, my husband's dad, they are great. They are taking care of the kids when we both want to train. But yeah, financially, it's mostly my husband supporting the whole family right now.
That's wonderful. You're blessed that you have that support, and the family support too, to help with the kids and stuff, because it's a lot of work, being a mom, and it's 24/7, and you need family.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yes, I'm the one basically who's running the everyday life in my family, because my husband's working, of course, but still we have the grandmothers here for us. So when I'm heading to Kansas City for my fight and I have to take over a week off from my daily life, I know that everything will be taken care of with the grandmothers.
That's awesome. That's really nice. So then you have peace of mind when you're away during your fight week, your
yes, totally.
Thing. That's awesome. And your husband sounds like he's really super supportive too. That's awesome.
Yes, he is. I really couldn't do this if my husband wasn't that supportive, and if he really didn't understand the sports at all, what I'm doing. So yes.
Now, do your kids train too, or are they into it, or no?
Not really. My son is playing ice hockey, and my daughter is ballet dancing. So they're not into martial arts, no.
Wow, so that's a big time commitment for you too, to take them to hockey's like a huge, like.
Yeah, but it's so great that our son loves his hockey. He loves to talk about hockey so much because I'm doing MMA. My husband likes to do MMA. He's a huge MMA fan. So it's great that we have somebody talking about ice hockey in the family.
Keeping it balanced.
Yeah.
And having some, that's awesome. And your daughter does ballet. Now, can you use any of her like training for your martial arts for balance or some sort of coordination? Because ballet, I know football players used to, you know, take that for their jumping or their, you know. Can you apply?
Actually, I should. My coaches have been telling me for a few years now that I should go to dancing lessons. And I've been really thinking about joining to my daughter's dance ballet school as well. So it would do great things for my martial arts as well, I know.
Yeah, they just adds like a different dynamic of wherever you might be. Maybe not moving in a certain way, it'll strengthen those you maybe quick twitching muscles in a different way or something. I don't know. Yeah. But that's pretty neat that your kids are involved in other sports, because I know I had spoken to a couple other moms, the fighters and athletes, and their kids are very involved in martial arts too, which I find fascinating that it's like sometimes a whole family affair, you know?
Yeah.
When your kids, are they allowed to watch you fight, or do they see you fight, and how do you handle that?
Well, they've seen the videos of my fights. They aren't allowed to watch them live. So if my husband's watching my fight and they are awake, of course, there's huge time difference still states. So they can watch me getting inside the cage and all the announcements. But then they're gonna hang out with grandmothers the time that I'm really fighting, because of course anything can happen out there. So, and I want to watch my fight first myself, and then if the kids want to see my fight, they will watch it with me.
Yeah, that, I mean, if you've been the one doing a lot of the grounding and pounding and knockouts and stuff. So that's great, but I can't imagine. I mean, I know when I've seen my kids, you know, earlier on, now it doesn't bother me so much, but when they were competing, as a mom, I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine being a child watching their mom, and God forbid, you know, you get knocked out or something like that. It's like, oh, wow, that would be somewhat traumatic for a young kid to see that happen to their.
Yeah, totally. And even if when I see somebody being totally knocked out, it something moves in my soul as well. Even though I know the sports, and even though I didn't even know the fighters, it looks kind of rough. It can look so rough out there. So that's why they're not watching it live. Yeah.
That's I feel it too. I'm like, everybody does. Although I love to watch it, I'm like, you know, I just want to make sure that they get up and everything's okay, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
What are you belong to a gym in Finland? It's Finland, right?
Yeah.
My books. I'm like, oh,
yes.
I've been talking to people all over the world lately, and I'm like, which country am I going to? Like, oh man. But so you're at Finn Fighters Gym, and
yes, correct.
Has it been the same gym that you've been training at for the last 5 years? You attribute to your success?
Yes, I started out at Finn Fighters Gym, and there I still am, yes.
Awesome. And your coaches and training partners, do you have female training partners or male training partners?
Well, actually, right now we have a great bunch of girls, especially in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling. I have a huge amount of girls to train with. And, well, yeah, we have, of course, there's so many guys that do MMA in my gym. And, of course, I love to train with those youngsters. So when we have new guys coming up, they're 16, 17, all the way when they turn about 20, then they're starting to like building up and becoming a man. So, but when they're youngsters, teenager guys, they are pretty good to train with for a small female fighter like me. Yeah.
what are the differences that you notice between training with your female partners as opposed to your male, or vice versa? What are the benefits you get from both? Like, training with the women or training with the men. What are the benefits that you receive from both, either or?
Yeah, when I'm training with guys, it's pretty nice when I know that I'm the weaker one. So I can really go really out there, and I just don't have to think about it if I'm going too rough or anything. Because yeah, the guy is usually bigger than me, and for sure they're stronger than me physically. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to just do my thing when I'm training and not have to worry about if to somebody, how does it feel to the other one. Mm-hmm. So with the girls, every now and then, of course, I'm not the smallest one at my gym, and there are newer girls as well. So I could be the stronger one when I'm rolling with girls. Mm-hmm. So it's every now and then I have to take it into considerations. But of course, it's so great to have so many female training partners, because it's totally different physically when you're a man or you're a woman. So that's basically why I started, why I wanted to take my first amateur fights, because back at 2014, 13, 14, I was basically the only girl doing MMA in my gym. Mm-hmm. So of course I got pretty beaten up in every training. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see how would it be like to fight another girl who's pretty much my size. So that's pretty much why I even started fighting as an amateur, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. You wanted to compete and see, okay, how do these skills work against another woman, and and testing yourself. Am I actually any good at this? Because it is hard to determine whether or not. I know I did when I started in martial arts. There was very few women training at the time. And now there's so many more, especially in MMA. But when I first stepped foot into a Muay Thai kickboxing gym, there was only, I think, there was only one other woman in my class, and she wasn't usually there when I was there. Yeah. And so you're always training with men, and you're like, oh, how do I know if I am any good? Unless a female comes in. So that's good. So now you have more women in your gym, though.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, but we have great, we have I don't know what I was going to say.
That's okay. I get like that too. I'm like, oh no, I got to come up with another question.
I had some idea, just went away. Sorry.
That's okay. You last year you won Nordic Female Fighter of the Year because you had 4 fights last year?
Yes, I did.
That's amazing. And you won all of them? Or
no, I had that one loss.
One loss.
Yeah, in February, yes.
Yeah, against Kona. Yeah. But wow, that's an honor, huh?
Yeah, it is. We do have in Scandinavia, we do have Panieki Ansat and Sunna Tsunami, what's her family name? Davidsdotter, I think. A strawweight fighter in Invicta still. Uh-huh. So yeah, we have in Nordic countries, we have UFC fighters and Invicta fighters, in female fighters as well. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys, I think, I don't know if I heard this in an interview that you gave or not, but you were saying that women in your country don't have to deal with maybe so much some inequality,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and you're very your relationships with men are very balanced. If you want to do something that's more of a perceived masculine type of career, which you kind of are, it's all cool and it's okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Finland is one of the leading countries in equality. We've been like that for decades already. So it's not really that big of a deal if a woman wants to take some masculine job.
Yeah. Do you find that the pay, like say if you were, a nurse, would the pay be the same as what your husband's making or in some other career? Does that I can't think of other careers right now of, in your country that the pay scale would be the same that, for somebody coming into maybe even an entry level job or something like that. Would you say that it's the same or?
Well, actually, I think it's pretty even. They are constantly talking about how women don't make as much money as men do, but I think it's pretty equal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if we're comparing to other countries in the world, it's extremely equal. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, even for female fighters, I mean, there's, you guys, the women aren't making as much as say the men are, and it depends on if you're going to make any money, is how verbal you are out there, how you put on a little bit of a show, how comfortable are you with that, like being in the limelight and talking on camera or having your picture taken, or especially with Invicta because they really do give you a little bit more than maybe some of the other promotion companies. They'll probably take some nice photos of you that you can post on other, platform, other, your website or whatever. Do you find that there's a difference there or?
Well, I like to talk about myself, of course. I think everybody loves to talk about themselves, so I like to talk about myself. It's great to have the interest from you guys to have these interviews. But well, I'm in mixed martial arts because I love to train and I love to fight. And for example, at the Amateur World Championships back in 2015 in Las Vegas, when they kept asking me how do I like about Las Vegas, I didn't really even have an opinion on that. So I just told them that I don't know, I just came here to fight. So that's pretty much my focus. I love to fight, I love to train, but yeah, it's nice to have people asking me about myself because I like to talk about myself.
I think most people do, but sometimes they're not willing to admit it. I like the fact that you admit it. I think that's adorable. I think it's great. And I think more women should. Were you ever a women's fighter kind of fan? Did you ever have any favorite female fighters prior to even getting into, competing yourself that you admired or that you looked up to?
Well, actually, we do have a former Invicta strawweight champion, Katja Kankaanpää from Finland. So, of course, she's been a huge inspiration for me. And it's great that in Invicta, the guys in Invicta and girls in Invicta have pretty much stayed the same for these past few years. So they really still remember Katja. So it's really nice to come there where Katja's been just a couple years ago. Yeah.
Nice. What goals do you have for the next maybe 3 years, personal and business wise?
I want to fight. I want to stay as a professional fighter at world top level within our tiny girls, tiny ladies fighting. So of course I want to keep up with my MMA and my professional career. 3 years, yeah. I'm not even 30 yet, so yes, I'm gonna stay with MMA and be a professional fighter. Of course, I'm planning on winning the belt in 3 weeks, and then I'm planning on keep hold on it. So let's see. It's great. I know that in Invicta, when I'm gonna be the holder of their Atomweight belt, I know that they have the competition coming up there as well. So it's great to know that I get to fight against the best girls in the world now that I really am in Invicta. Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you think of, some of the other weight classes where with Invicta, they vacate their titles and they move up to the UFC for, maybe a title shot or a shot at, the next, level. What do you think of that as a career path for yourself?
I don't, actually, I think I'm pretty big to be an Atomweight. So of course we are all constantly talking with my coaches about me fighting in Atomweight or maybe in strawweight. So actually that other Hamasaki, who used to have the belt and is now fighting a little bit higher weight classes. I totally understand her. But I don't really know. It seems to be a bit too far away to think about right now.
Yeah, too far ahead then. Okay, so that's okay. That's over. That's you're focused in what is necessary and what you need to do right now, which makes complete sense, especially with this fight coming up, and with Jinh Yu Frey. When you've seen her fight, I mean, you must be how do you think you're going to, well, I guess I don't want to get into your game plan or whatever, but when you're approaching this fight, how do you see yourself? I mean, what do you think her game's going to be, I guess?
Well, I know that she's a left-handed and I'm right-handed, so that's one point to take into consideration. But I know it's a bit cliche, but I'm mostly focusing on my own game when I'm there in the cage. So, but I really think that this is a great matchup from Invicta, and it's totally logical for them to put up the belt as well. And I think that we're gonna have a great fight, of course. But yeah, I haven't myself gotten so into Jinh Yu Frey's fighting style or anything. So of course my coaches have watched through her and they keep telling me what to do, but I'm mostly focusing on my own work.
Cool. That's good. That's wise, right? It's very wise. Can you share a personal habit or a daily routine that contributes to your success?
Well, we just talk about my husband and my family and all of that, and I really think that this whole athlete thing for me is it's a lifestyle. So I don't really have to even do any decisions on what I'm going to do. It's more of a lifestyle and everything just rolls as it is.
Have you ever had an aha moment during your martial arts, the journey of your martial arts career? Like something that just kind of went, oh, wow,
Yeah. Actually, I think it was back in 2015, around the time I turned pro. And I was driving to my gym from the second time that day. And it just hit me that I have never even, I don't have to make, I don't have to even consider that if I'm going to the training or not. So that was the time when I really realized that I might have that something to make this really work. And even when I had been an amateur fighter and haven't even kind of even thought about going pro, it has still been like a lifestyle for me. So when I wake up and I have my morning training, I'm going to train. It's not like I've been thinking that should I go to training or not, or am I too tired or not. So I've always been training like it was my job, even when it wasn't.
Awesome. Could you tell us or tell a story or share a story about your journey where you experienced some form of failure and what you learned from it?
Actually, I think, well, I have had a pretty easy life, just to be honest. Haven't been so like tremendous things in my life that would have been such a huge failures. And I have a great mental coach right now, a psychologist, Jana Plum from WMMA here in Helsinki, Finland. And it's great to have those talks with her to understand myself so much better. So I really think that that's one thing that gives me that strength, that if there's failure coming up, it's not really that huge deal for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So, who would you say has played a meaningful role in your life's journey and influenced you in a positive way?
Well, my husband, hands down, my husband. He's the one who introduced me to martial arts in general. I hadn't had any martial arts before I started in MMA. And really, I just wanted to find some way to get fit and stay fit. And he introduced me to mixed martial arts, and here I am. And of course, I couldn't do this without my husband's support. Of course, mentally, he's there for me, and like we just talked, he's financially supporting my family as well. So my husband has been a huge influence in this whole thing. And if I didn't have his support here, I couldn't really do this.
Yeah, I could see that, being a mom and trying to manage all that. That would be crazy, like just a huge effort. So what is it about your husband that would say, honey, I think you'd be really great at that? Why would he think that, that you like that?
I
You gotta dig a little deeper here. I'm sorry.
Actually, I never thought about fighting when I started martial arts.
Yeah.
I wanted to get fit, and he knew that it would be a great training if somebody wants to get fit.
Yeah.
So then I just got pretty much into it.
Did you spar at all with him at all? And just like...
We've been trying to spar some boxing a couple times, but it's not working. It's not fair. He doesn't really want to hit me, even if it was a sparring. He doesn't want to hit me. So we can grapple, we can do some jiu-jitsu together, but no.
Is he much bigger than you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
20, 30 kilos, yeah. There's a tiny difference, but yeah, there's the same size guys in my gym who I do train with. So it's not about the size, it's just, no, it's not working for us. And of course, also, some of my family members asked me when I was starting out if he's coaching me. And no, he's not. I have my coaches and I have my husband who's there to support me. But it wouldn't work with us, no.
That's good. You keep both separate then.
Yeah.
That's cool. What has been the greatest challenge when dealing with maybe fear, and how do you overcome it?
I don't know. I just mentioned my mental coach. And I think that when I have her here with me, coaching me and helping me to get to know myself better. So that's a huge asset for me. And I think that I don't really have to go so deep with any fear or other bad emotions. Now that I know myself better and I know how to handle those things before they get too big.
Yeah, like say aggression or anger or grief, loss, any of those emotions come up pre-fight or after or during, like training? Any of that happen?
Totally too. I want to do so good in everything I do, so I'm getting so easily frustrated in training. And of course, it's also emotionally hard to do MMA.
Yeah.
So I do have those feelings, of course, but I don't know. I just feel so comfortable even with those harder feelings, and I think it's mostly because I do have my mental coach who can help me to cope with them. Yeah.
Yeah, manage them and understand why you're feeling a certain way. That's huge. I don't think too many. You're the first person that I've actually heard that has a mental coach.
Really? I think everybody should have one.
You're the first woman that has actually even said that, that I've actually heard say that they've had a mental coach to help them with their maybe their fight camp or their training, so that they can actually work through those emotions.
Yeah.
Back here, I can remember years ago when there weren't very many women training. Women's MMA was just starting out. I mean, they were fighting in Japan. It wasn't even heard of back here. There was only a handful of women that really knew about it and were training over in Japan, or actually fighting over in Japan. So I can remember the guys at my gym saying, if a woman cried after her training session, they were like, oh, she's lacking some form of confidence. And, years now later on, I'm like, no, it was just a hard session. It's just a way a woman releases emotions. Like,
that's just the way I release my stress and all. I'm always crying.
Yeah.
I was today, actually before my physics training today, I was crying because I just had some huge increasement in stress level at that point. And well, it's pretty nice. My training partners, my coaches, they all know that it's just me. There's nothing wrong with me even when I'm crying. My coach or some training partner may ask me if I hurt myself. And when I answer them that no, I didn't, they just know that it's just me crying. And I just deal with stuff by crying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way. It's a normal way for women to release stress, and I think when it's seen, it's mistaken for a lack of confidence or lack of something in the woman, self-esteem of some kind. But that isn't generally the case, and I don't think men and women, I don't think, actually realize that.
Yeah,
it's just a release. It's a release of stress.
Yeah,
that's how women release it. It's how we release it. Like if we're just feeling a certain whatever because we just had a hard workout and we're just like exhausted. And we're like, I'm just tired. I just
feel like crying, and then I just cry.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, now I feel fine. I'm like, I'm done, ready to go.
Totally.
I really think that's how it is. But I don't hear very many women kind of, maybe they don't realize that, and then they start to second guess themselves. So to hear it from someone like yourself, that's actually a huge thing. And women will be like, oh, okay, so I am okay. And
I do cry a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. So that helps you then. It does help you. And then you release everything and you leave it there. Whatever is, going on, it's there. It's left in the moment. You release it.
Totally.
Cool. What are a few things that you do that are so essential to your success of leading an empowered, and you're leading a very winning, right now you're like, kicking ass. So, what do you find that's really essential for you to do to keep that going?
Well, it's a lifestyle. Like I told in the beginning, I really find the lifestyle that suits me the best in martial arts, mixed martial arts, and the fact that I'm now an athlete, that really fulfills me and my life totally. So it's pretty hard to name any singular things in my life, either leading up to these or keeping me up to this, or what I'm really even getting out of it. It's so much like a lifestyle for me. Yeah.
Nice. And could you share a story when you might have felt inadequate, or you were told no because you were a woman, and then how did you handle that?
Actually, like I said, I do live in Finland. I was raised in Finland. I was born in Finland. I've been here my whole life, and we are so equal as a country, and we've been like that for decades already. And actually, even though I might have heard someone saying that I couldn't do something because I'm a girl, I don't really care.
You don't
I don't really care if somebody. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if somebody tells me I can't do something because I'm a lady, or because I'm too tall or too short. or too skinny or anything. If I have my mind on something, I'm just gonna stick with it. I don't really care. And well, I'm sure that somebody might have said to me that I can't do something because I'm a woman, but I just don't care. I don't even remember those.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't register. It sounds like it doesn't register
Yeah.
at all. That's great. So, what's been the best day of your life?
My son and daughter when they were born. That was kind of a cliche, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. What was maybe the worst day of your life?
Well, actually, we don't really talk about it that much. But actually, when my son was born, didn't really go that smoothly and easily, and there was some hours right after labor that I didn't really know what's happening. How is he doing? Is he okay? Is he if he's even alive? So that was pretty rough moment in my life. So I think pretty much like after that, everything feels so much smoother.
Yeah, that's
And of
scary.
course, after that, he's totally fine. He's totally normal, growing up like a regular 8-year-old boy.
Mhm.
So actually, that didn't really affect anything. But there was that rough moment in my life that I had to deal with, and me and my husband had to deal with together. So after that, really, I think that might be one thing why there's not that much those fear and other horrible feelings in my life, because I had to experience something so awful at that point.
Mhm.
So after that, nothing really feels that bad anymore.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm glad your son's okay, and I'm glad you guys came through that all right. Yeah,
Yes.
that's very scary too. Like if something happens to your child, and yeah, I'm like, I have 2 kids, so I can empathize. As I'm sure many of our listeners could empathize with that for sure. It definitely gets to be, when something happens to our children. What would be what would people be surprised to know about you that they don't know about you?
Maybe that's how much I really cry at training and everywhere. Because yeah, I cry a lot. I'm so frustrated at trainings, and my husband sometime he thought he was thinking about video shooting live, doing some tiny live broadcast in Periscope or something about my training. But then he realized that no, it doesn't really suit that thing that people think that Brutsku is about. So I'm so frustrated at the gym. I cry a lot, and I think that's pretty much it.
Well, you're a tiny woman, and you're like doing big, huge things, and it's hard. So what did you cry? You know?
But there's so many emotions. Of course, it's physically so rough. It's emotionally so rough. All this athlete's lifestyle. I love the athlete's lifestyle, but of course, it's so hard. So there's so much emotions that just come out from me by crying.
Do you find that you're a perfectionist? Is that why you cry?
Yeah, I am. I try to tone it down a little bit. My coaches are toning it down a little bit as well on daily basis. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I guess my next question, well, actually, would you like to give a shout out to anybody, or like a little infomercial or commercial about yourself, or all of that, plus give a little shout out to your next opponent, coming up for your Invicta FC championship title fight against Jinh Yu Frey?
Well, actually, the biggest shout out must go to my gym, Finfire's gym. I have there I have two awesome coaches, Sami Sakko and Aleksi Kainulainen, who's been there my whole career. And my physique coach, Ville Rintala, and I just told you about my mental coach, Jana Blum. They are doing so much for me and for my career. And I have a gym filled with training partners. So that's extremely crucial. Of course, I'm stepping inside the cage all by myself, but I couldn't do this thing without everybody around me. So that's awesome. And well, about the upcoming fight, like I told you, I think it's a great fight from Invicta to really draw up together. And I thought it totally makes sense to have the belt online there. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a great fight with Jin there at 21st July.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm sure our listeners are too. I want to thank you again for being on the show. It was really great to get to know you better, and I think your fans will appreciate listening to this too. They get a chance to hear from you and what your life is like outside the gym as well as inside.
It was great to laugh about crying. Yeah.
It is awesome. So thanks so much. I'll look forward to watching the fight and, hopefully having you on again.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to deliver a great fight. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Minna.
having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, that was Minna. That was Minna Grusander, and she'll be fighting Jinh Yu Frey this coming July on the 21st in Kansas City, Missouri at Invicta FC 30 for the title, the Atomweight title bout. So you guys want to tune in for that. It should be a great fight. And again, thank you to Minna for coming on to the show. We'll look forward to seeing her this July. Maybe she'll be the new champion. If you like what you heard today and are eager to hear more, remember to subscribe or download on iTunes, or better yet, give us a review. Let us know how we're doing. And you can always check out my blog, evolvewmma.com, or simply follow us on facebook.com/ILoveWMMA. This is Shelley Devine. Until next time, thanks for listening.